We've been spending most of our day today breaking down what happened last night for the Diamondbacks. An 8-3 loss in the opener of their 3-game set against the Mets. The first of what is a 16-game gauntlet sees them playing a bunch of teams in the National League that they are going to be directly competing with for playoff positioning and playoff spots. Got off to a rough start last night with Eduardo Rodriguez, whose ERA has soared above 6. 6.06 is where Eduardo Rodriguez's ERA sits after that start last night. And this was bubbling over the last couple of days out for Eduardo Rodriguez. Had that 10-hit performance against the Marlins, but only gave up 3 runs. Gave up 4 runs in his last start. Hasn't gotten all the help in the world defensively. The under-the-hood numbers were relatively okay. They painted a different picture than his actual results. And then had a blow-up yesterday where just he's a location command pitcher and did not have his location, did not have his command, and was setting the ball on a tee for everybody in that Mets lineup. Pete Alonso hits a homer. Francisco Lindor hits a home run. Starling Marte hits a home run. It was just a bad night out for Eduardo Rodriguez, who sports the worst ERA in the entire rotation for this team. And so that leads us to this question. Is it too early for us to discuss a change to this rotation? Producer Evan gave us the stat earlier in the program, 29 starts so far this season for this group of 5 starters, 12 quality starts out of those 29. I'm not really great at math. I know that's less than 50%. Do we know what that percentage is? What is 12 out of 29? Producer Evan, can you give me that math? Because it's going to take me way too long to pull out the calculator app on my phone. I can try to do it. See if I can do
41%.
it. So less than 50%. 41% of the Diamondbacks starts this season have been quality starts. That's just not good enough. That's just not going to get it done. And I don't want to be the guy that sounds the alarm bell 29 games into the season. Tonight will be game 30 of 162. I don't want to be this guy. But you see how well the Dodgers are playing. You see how well the Giants are playing. You see how well the Padres are playing. You understand how much of a battle this is going to be, and you need to stay close. Now, pitching is always going to keep you close. But remember what we said that they needed to accomplish during these 16 games. Stay at that 3.5 back or be closer. Well, they've already moved a step backwards. They are 4.5 out of first place. They are 4.5 games back of the Dodgers, and they're 3-7 in their last 10. Those are not the stats that you want to hear after game 1 of this 16-game stretch. Those are not positive indicators that this team is going in the right direction. So, about a fifth of the way through the workload for the pitchers. Eduardo Rodriguez has made 6 starts. You usually make around 30, 32 starts in an ideal world. So 6 times 5 is 30. We're about a fifth of the way through the workload if everybody makes every start. And Eduardo Rodriguez has a 6 ERA. While you have somebody out in the bullpen who we talked about yesterday, you are keeping ready and you want to stretch out and keep stretched out in case you need him. And yesterday, Ryne Nelson did a fantastic job making sure that the Diamondbacks didn't have to use anybody else in that bullpen. So everybody not named Ryne Nelson has had at least 2 days off going into tonight. So everybody should be fresh. Everybody should be available. There should be no excuses if the bullpen gives it away tonight. There should be 0. Everybody's fresh. Everybody's had time off. Last 2 days, no pitching for anybody not named Ryne Nelson. So that excuse is off the table. But Ryne Nelson working the same day as Eduardo Rodriguez put this thought in my head. The next time out, could Ryne Nelson get that start? Should Ryne Nelson get that start in place of Eduardo Rodriguez? Because the Diamondbacks have committed themselves here. They've got 2 more years on this contract. They signed a 4-year deal. This is year 2. They're halfway through. There is a mutual option for the last year of that deal that kicks in. I think it's a vesting option. It kicks in with certain innings that Erod pitches, but those innings are tied to next season. So his workload this year is unaffected. So it's not like if they take him out of the rotation and he doesn't throw that many innings, it helps them with the vesting option for that last year of that deal. Those innings are for next season. So you would be making this decision for the best interest of the Diamondbacks in 2025. And I wonder how many more times out Erod is going to get before the calls for Ryne Nelson are going to continue to grow and grow and grow. I think it is probably a bit too early to make this kind of change because you don't want to make the change and then want to go right back. I think if you make the change, you're going to go with Ryne Nelson for a little bit here. He's going to get a runway a couple of times through. Do you get 4 more times through? Do you get to 10 starts, a third, and then make that decision? It does feel like we are reaching a fork in the road where the Diamondbacks are going to have to make a decision of, do we give Ryne Nelson a shot?
And the other question is, how deep can they go? How long can they get into the season with Ryne Nelson throwing out of the pen to then say, okay, we want you to come out as our 5th starter? Where's the line there? So it's a fine line to walk for them. I agree with you. It's too early to make the Erod switch just because you're 6 starts in. Let me get to 10. Let me get to 8 at the minimum and then make that change, because you're right. You're not flipping back and forth. You make that change once, but you can't do it again. So once you make the move, you're committed to it. I just think that it's one of those things, though. You're watching every Erod start with a little bit of an extra eye.
Yeah. You're very closely paying attention to how sharp he is. You're paying attention to, is this the final start? And choosing 10 starts is as arbitrary as saying, I want to make a change right now. There is no material difference between 6 starts and 10 starts. At 6 starts, you're a 5th through the season. At 10 starts, you're now a 3rd through the season. So it is at least a bigger sample size, and baseball is a sample size sport. But at the end of the day, there isn't a ton of a difference between 6 and 10, other than that's 4 more chances for Eduardo Rodriguez to have nights like he had last night and give the Diamondbacks no chance. They had 0 chance last night when that's the type of starting pitching that they got. 0. None.
The other thing it does is gives you time to start ramping Ryne Nelson up 4 starts. Because right now, if you were to say, hey, next time to the rotation, Ryne Nelson, you're getting that 5th start, I don't think that's fair.
Well, yeah, he's not going to be able to give you a ton of length.
No.
Not at least right now. He threw 68 pitches last night in his outing last night. And ideally, if you're going to make the pivot back to Ryne Nelson, who, by the way, was one of their best starters in the second half last season, if you're going to make that change, you want him to be able to go 5, 6, 7 innings. You want him to be treated like a regular starter. Well, last time out for Ryne Nelson, he threw 68 pitches, and it was in 4 innings of work. It's the most innings that he's worked this season. He's worked 17 innings so far this season. 4 of them came last night, and he threw 68 pitches in that contest. And outside of the couple of bad outings he's had against Chicago, both at the beginning of the season and then that series that they played in Wrigley, he's been relatively great against everybody else. And last night is very much the type of appearance that the Diamondbacks want Ryne Nelson to get, because he threw 68 pitches over 4 innings. That's keeping him on a pace to be able to start. That's keeping him in an area where if they need to turn to somebody, if they want to skip Erod for a start, maybe give him some extra time to work on some stuff, you want to make a spot start, 4 innings, 68 pitches, I can get that from Ryne Nelson. I can turn to my bullpen, and I feel pretty good about things.
If you can get 4 innings and 68 pitches, maybe give me a 5th on a good day. But I don't hate that. You can make that change pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, but again, it requires outings like that. It is the opposite of going 2 1/3 innings against New York or going 2 1/3 against Tampa. You want length. You want him to be in mop-up role, but because the bullpen has been a clown car, they've asked him to kind of get themselves out of some jams and not be a true long man, swing guy, spot starter. It is that's the role they want him to be in, but they haven't been able to actually like ramp him up and have him in that role. It's been kind of weird so far. Last night was kind of a return to that role in some ways. I get it. Erod has a ERA over 6. Erod is not pitching very well. His last 3 times out, the best he did was 3 earned runs. Last night was 8, 4 the start before, 3 the start before that. It is 15 earned runs in his last 3 starts. That's just not going to get it done. That's not going to be sustainable for this rotation. We are going to get to a point where they're going to have to make a change if this doesn't get better. And maybe it's an arbitrary decision on our part, but we'll give you 4 more turns through. Erod, you're getting till 10 starts. And if after 10, that ERA is not going in the right direction, it's getting worse, or it's just not getting better, then yeah, you're going to have to make a pivot. And you're going to have to get Ryne Nelson out there and see if he can do any better, especially when he was one of your best pitchers in the second half of last season.